Good morning. Welcome back to Playground. Super excited to be continuing this Parenting from a Place of Wellness series. In this video, we're going to be continuing to talk about parenting styles. This is part 2, and we're going to focus on your expectations of your children and your beliefs around what to do when those expectations are met and not met. What are your beliefs around setting expectations for your children? Do you believe in setting the bar very high for them? Do you believe in direct feedback and critique? Or are you more prone to encouraging small accomplishments and letting a lot slide, thinking, eventually they'll get to this, but I'm not worried about it right now? Where do you fall on that spectrum? And are you happy with that? Is that a choice you've made consciously, or is that a choice that you kind of fell into, a practice that you fell into, and now you're thinking, oh, I don't really like the results of that. I want to kind of change. Maybe you feel too harsh, or you feel not harsh enough. So where are your feelings around your expectations for your children, as well as how you enforce them? So in your home, when an expectation is not met, how do you handle that? Are you a parent who believes in strict obedience? Do you use a firm tone or a soft tone? Do you use consequences, or do you prefer just to stick with conversation and hope that things will be different next time, that they'll learn and internalize that way? Does it make you feel bad to take away privileges, or to provide a punishment? Does it make you feel bad not to? What are your feelings and thoughts and beliefs around expectations for your child, and what happens when they don't meet those expectations? And then my final question around expectations is, what happens when your child does meet those standards? Do you believe in offering praise for a job well done? What kind of jobs? Is it jobs like, are small tasks as well as big tasks, or just big tasks? What kind of language do you use to praise your child? How often do you praise your child? What are your beliefs around that? So I've given you a lot, and all of these questions and all of this thinking is around really your beliefs around 2 areas, or your practices around 2 areas, beliefs and practices: your level of warmth and affection, both verbally and physically, and your level of expectations and the enforcement of those expectations for your child. And so after you've had a chance to look at and think about these things and where you fall as a parent. In the first video, we talked about identity and being grounded in a sense of identity. This second video is very much tied to that, but it's feeling grounded in who you are as a parent. One of the things I've noticed about the happiest parents is they know themselves well as parents. They know themselves well, period, and they know themselves well as parents. And because they know themselves well, they trust themselves more. And it's not that they never take in new information and change ideas, but they have a strong sense of, this is who I am as a parent, this is what I care about, and so this is what I'm going to do. So the different ways you can see yourself on a chart, you can answer these questions, you can talk about them. All of this thought work that you're doing is altering the way that you see yourself as a parent. You are getting to know yourself more as a parent. And by knowing yourself more, you're making more conscious decisions as you're parenting. And you're happier doing it. That is my hope. That is what I would expect from this process. So just for fun, for those of you who are unfamiliar with some of the other parenting lingo that I was talking about earlier, for a while, I think almost everybody is familiar with these terms, but we'll start with the helicopter parent. Was big for a while. The parent that's ever watching, that doesn't want their child to get hurt. Is that an image that you resonate with at all? Are you very very worried about your child making a mistake or falling and hurting themselves? Or do you find yourself hyper protective? Or do you find yourself on the opposite extreme of that? Or again, somewhere in the middle? Where are you in terms of worrying and kind of following your child around to make sure that they are okay and you're right there if they need you? My parents were very high on that spectrum. They were very helicoptery. Love them both. They did so many things. Well, that was the style that they were working with. It was very, my dad especially made a very conscious choice to be that kind of person. In his mind, that is what a good father was. And it definitely communicated to me the love, the intense love he had for me and that sense of protection, which was a beautiful thing. There were some less beautiful things I got from that too. But here I am, a functioning, happy adult, despite a lot of things that went wrong. So again, this isn't about judgment, it's about preference. Okay, so that's helicopter. And then a little later on, more recently, you may have heard of the snowplow parents, who are those who are very concerned about their child's success and very, very defensive of their child and their child's rights. And so this would be a parent who often, instead of following their child like the helicopter parent, the snowplow parent gets in front of the child and paves the way as smooth as possible. So these are parents who might be calling colleges before their child applies or before their child has any problems or has a chance to talk about their problems because they want to be able to smooth that over for their child. So is that something that feels important to you? For you, is parenting about making the way smooth, kind of getting in front of the child, in front of the problem for your child? Or are you someone that believes, maybe on the far other end of the spectrum, or no, I completely stay out of my child's way. They need to smooth their own path or go over that rocky ground. So where are you on that spectrum? And then you have I was laughing, wow, rolling my eyes and laughing when I heard the next one, the free range parenting, which has come up because there are so many, in our society today, in so many places, um, it feels very unsafe for children to be on their own, and it's a sad reality. It's not everywhere, but it's scary for many parents, and so they tend to keep their kids close to home. So as kind of a counter movement to that, people started, reminiscing about the good old days, and hey, kids should be able to go hang out by themselves and play. They don't need adults hovering all the time. They need to be free and make their own mistakes. And so, send them to the park like those little free range chickens. And so, I'm not laughing at the style. I'm laughing at the name, free range. I just to clarify, like I said, I'm there's not a judgment here. It's a preference. So where are you on that spectrum? Do you find that you're more concerned about safety issues and monitoring, or do you feel like, no, I very intentionally have my child do things by themselves, go places by themselves? Where are you on that spectrum? And then finally, not that this is an exhaustive list of parenting, but back when I was like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, attachment parenting that was really heralded by the Sears family, the families of pediatricians, was becoming very popular. And I latched on to this idea of a parenting style driven by the desire for healthy attachment between you and your baby. And at that point in my life, I was I was new in my process of self-discovery and in my awareness of the trauma that I had undergone throughout my life, dealing with alcoholism in the family, and then early death of my mom, and um, just verbal abuse and different things, a lot of chaos in the home, and just the mixed bag that is life. And I was very sensitive to anything that might cause my future children to be traumatized in any way. And so it was a fair place to be. That's where I was. And so I really clung to attachment parenting. And then because of the way it was introduced to parents, it became synonymous with co-sleeping, with breastfeeding for long periods of time, and it's several other factors. Um, the no crying methods, so parents who would rock their babies to sleep for literally 3 to 4 hours, just sit there every time they cry, immediately pick them up. It's and parents were told this is the way to make sure that your child doesn't have problematic attachment disorders or issues, is because anytime you need them, they need you, you're right there, and you're teaching them that you're there. And I I bring this up. I again, I want to honor everywhere parents are along the spectrum. Most of my closest friends are attachment parents, and it's their personality. They've been through a lot of crap in their life. Um, that's very difficult to deal with and process, and they came to parenting, especially some of my friends, very young and in the midst of their own journeys. And they want what's best for their babies because they're beautiful human beings who want their children to have everything and more, because that's what you want as parents. But unfortunately, I have watched these parents suffer a great deal, potentially unnecessarily, trying to give their children everything. And I don't think what they've done is bad. I think what they've done is hard. And I think that for all those out there who are putting themselves through a parenting regimen because somebody else, some expert, has said, this is what you need to do to not mess your child up, I encourage you to step back and again to think about your own preferences. And if you decide, no, this is something I firmly believe in because of X, Y, and Z, my own experience, then more power to you. You parent on, and let people's opinions fly by you. But parenting is hard enough. And I feel defensive for parents who are told to do things by experts that make the parents' life harder. It's like Jesus said to the Pharisees, you place heavy burdens on people's backs, and yet you are not willing to lift a finger to help them. And I just don't want that to happen to these beautiful human beings who are trying to do the very best for their kids and suffering in the process. Because like I said, it's hard enough without that. So anyway, I hope this has been a helpful starting point for you as you reflect on your own parenting style and practice. And maybe as you have thought about this, maybe this is the first time you've thought about this intensely or with such an awareness, and maybe you're thinking, wow, this is something that I'm doing but not something I believe, or this is something that I believe but not something I'm doing, and you see a gap between belief and practice. What a great opportunity to think about ways to fix that. I always feel kind of bad on these videos because they're just informational sessions, and I just want to get in there with you and have a one-on-one conversation and make plans and talk to your kids. And so please do remember that my family consulting is the business at Playground. And if you do want one-on-one personal help with your situation, I am here to help you with that. So otherwise, enjoy the free videos, and I hope that it's a great time of reflection for you. And let me know how it goes and what you discover. Thanks for watching.